Weirdvoice, First Anthology, Chapter 1.
I think about the steps I took as I walked, not even knowing I wouldn't return here again. I think about the steps I counted on these wet streets, the dry wooden stairs, below the yellow light. Here's what I wanted to say about these steps. Years ago, I traveled. I'd gone to do some work. What sort of work I was here to do isn't important. I'm sure it's similar to the same work you do, or at least tangential. Here I am, far away from home, and my coworkers, every evening after work, they tell me goodbye. They would all leave the office for their homes. They left me to it, they would say. I'll leave you to it. So, I was left to it. There are a few restaurants in town near where I stay. 3 expensive places, 2 that are mid-range, and then a small grocery where I would sometimes pick up a few things to cook myself in my small, extended stay apartment. Most nights, though, I would go to one of the mid-range restaurants and sit at a table. I eat slowly. I eat up my time. I drink a slow beer. Slowly. Barely move my cutlery while I eat. Things are mostly quiet. The restaurant is mostly empty, sadly empty. Or instead, wonderfully empty. And then, after I finish dinner, afterward most times, when the streets are bare, when the cars had driven away, when the buses are gone, I walk at night. Something that walking does to me. I think you can relate. I know you can relate. Something that walking at night does to me when I'm somewhere far from home. Something walking does to me. And singularly, after dinner, I round a corner. As I always round this singular corner, there's a harp repair shop. Its awning leaning, and its front window bright, open late, and within are always 4 or 5 harp players. It's like nothing else. The sound of their playing burns into me. And their faces, intense with their fingers, a river of sharp tones like welcome shards to my face and eyes. I watch. I always stop to listen and watch. I should say that when I'm home, I'll admit, and I think you can also admit too, when I'm home, I don't do any of this. There are no harp repair shops where I live, and I never walk at night. I don't walk the wet streets, or the dry wooden stairs, or walk below the yellow light. Why don't I do that? Why don't I walk at night when I'm at home? The streets are there too. The night is there also, obviously. And I'm there. And you're there, tangentially. At home, though, isn't it so different? But when I'm away from home, walking at night, it shocks me vibrantly. It crashes down upon me like waves, flattening me, blissfully flattening me. But, as I was saying, when I was here for work, I would eat my dinner. Then afterward, I would walk at night, past the harp repair shop, counting my steps, the streets, the weather, the yellow light, the red water, and I would think about my priorities. Maybe it's the contrasting impact, the damp weight of personal examination, the permission that walking at night gave me, that made me create a list in my head, a list of what's important, a list of priorities. Back home, my list of priorities would be family, work, health, safety, dreams. But here, I discover my list of priorities is shadows, buttons, blood, muscle, and bone. This new list runs deep. It quickly obliterates the old list, that old list from back home. Suddenly, I can feel my back bending, my skin tightening, my teeth sharpening, my brain swimming, like yours swims, like yours. Since you're so very much like me, let me ask. We don't often act on impulse, do we? But on this night, with our new priorities, with our bent back, our tight skin, our sharp teeth, our drowning brain, walking at night, the music of the harps fading, counting our steps along these streets with this weather and this reddening yellow light, we act on impulse. We sidestep toward a railing along a river that's shimmering in the moonlight. Back home, there's no river. There's just nothing, is there? There's nothing. But here, see it? There's an alleyway. We never go down them, do we? We always walk past them. We don't often look down alleys like these, do we? And if we do, we don't look very long. But this time, we look for a very long time. We notice there's no end to it. We notice there's no end. Our sharp teeth glisten in the muted moonlight as we stoop down the alleyway. The bricks along its diagonal walls ran along pavement, sloping downward, and the further we go, the deeper we sink, until at last the alleyway splits east and west. You go east, I go west. We split, both screaming, both gone, both screaming and gone, leaving to find ourselves wherever we may be, wherever, losing ourselves wherever and wherever. Later, we meet at the fountain in the park, in the deepest dark surrounding us. The streets have rolled up, restaurants are silent, the harp repair shop locked and silent, our breath steaming in the chill air. We tell each other what we've done, as we scrub our hands, as we wrench the crimson from our shirt cuffs, as we stand under the yellow light, with red in the water, our pupils sharp like pinpoints. After we tell each other, after we relate, we slide our bodies to the ground. Darkness eats us away. Like dinner, we dissolve into shadows and are finally, truly gone. At sunup, awake on a park bench, life has returned to the world. Cars, people, buses, harps, tangentially, rubbing our eyes, stifling yawns. More buses, more people, more cars. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Here's what I wanted to tell you. Here's what I wanted to say. When I returned home to my family, my work, my health, my safety, and dreams, I wanted to say, to tell you, I remember. I walked with you at night. I remember. I know it's difficult to believe now that we're home and after a few years have gone. Now, forever, we stood by a fountain in the park, red in the water, the yellow light. We stood and screamed. We stood, screaming, pupils like pinpoints.
Night Walk was written by Brett Neveu and performed by Brandon Ruiter. It was engineered by Troy Cruz. Weirdvoice is an anthology of haunted stories. Each chapter is created from scratch by the Ice Core Collective in Chicago. The Ice Core Collective is Michael Gilio, writer and performer; Exal Iraheta, writer and communications; Aviva J., writer and performer; Ele Matelan, Foley artist and sound designer; Matthew Muñiz, director, producer, composer, and production manager; Brett Neveu, writer and producer; Maya Reeder, sound design, mixing, and producer; Rich Sparks, visual artist, writer, and producer; and Neil Verma, director, field recordist, and first anthology producer. Special thanks to Leah Cole. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. For more, visit our website at icecorecollective.com. Weirdvoice is recorded at the studios of Northwestern University's School of Communication and in the field. And now, quiet time.